Lisa, I'm really impressed with what you've done with your agency. You've built your agency now into the 7-figure zone, and, you've really kind of figured this stuff out. We've had the opportunity to share you with the Go Mobile community before. This isn't the first time. It's been a few years, been a little bit. So I'm super pumped. I know Leanne's on here with me. I know the whole team is pumped. Look, these are your peers, Lisa. This is one of you. This is someone that's come in from brass roots of getting into starting an agency, going through all the things that didn't work, chased the shiny objects, tried different things, because I know I've heard the various different eras of the story. And then as she's continued to build and scale over this last 5-6 years, you're going to get to see what she's been doing.
When I was just really starting my business, and I remember those days. So today, it's almost like coming full circle for me. And some of the things that I've done over the last 10 years in my business, quite frankly, were very difficult. And I thought running an agency was going to be easier. I thought there were going to be less stumbles. And I certainly never thought that I would almost quit along the path. And all of those things happened. So today, I kind of just came with some topics I thought would be really great for us to just sit and talk about, get Damien's perspective, hear what you guys are doing, what's happening in your world, what you guys are struggling with, and make it more like a Q&A. I'm happy to talk about some stuff, and then we'll just stop and kind of have some conversation around it. I find that's always where you get the best nuggets from instead of some canned presentations. Like the 5 things, and I do have a piece of paper in front of me so I don't forget to talk about these 5 things, but the 5 things that I really like to focus on when I'm having these type of conversations are really the 5 things that I struggled with and really were the major things in my business that once I fixed, really propelled me from that, mid 6 figures up to a 7-figure business. How to get unstuck, the power of belief, passive recurring income. Money fixes nothing. Freedom is why we want the money. Stop selling and start consulting. That is the list, guys. Let's kind of start spitballing about being stuck and what that means. For most of you guys, when you say stuck, put in the chat, what do you mean by stuck? Help me understand what stuck means to you. Are not enough leads? Not enough money?
Or you can also go on audio if you want.
Yeah, sure. Let's spitball. Not enough sales? What do you guys mean by stuck? Because in my history, stuck meant overwhelmed. So I had to learn that the word stuck for me meant I was overwhelmed. I was stuck because I didn't have enough time to do the things I had to do, right? I was stuck because I didn't have the resources to do the things that needed to get done. I was stuck because I didn't have the staff to do all the stuff. And I was stuck in the beginning because I had a dang job, right? When I first started my business, like many of you guys, I had a 9 to 5.
That is a very popular one right there.
Yeah, so you spend 8 hours working for someone else that you hate only to come home at night and be exhausted and have very little time to work in your business. And so getting unstuck first starts with identifying what's sticky, right? What are the things that are keeping you from getting unstuck? And the next conversation we have here in a little bit will be about beliefs. So keep that in mind. We're going to kind of transition to that. But what's the first thing we got to do? Like anything, we have to identify what is stuck. We can't just say, my business sucks. Okay, why does it suck? And then if you say, well, I don't have enough leads. Okay, why don't you have enough leads? I want you guys to start asking why until you get down to the real granular problem. Is it I don't have leads because I'm too afraid to spend money? I don't have leads because I don't have good systems. I don't have leads because I'm not doing anything to get them. Whatever the stuck word is, kind of soul search and figure out, why am I stuck there? Did I do it to myself? Am I blaming the universe, or am I taking responsibility? That was hard for me because working a full-time job, how many of you guys are working, and I can see a lot of you, so hands, whatever. How many of you guys are working a full-time job still? Hands up. Yeah, or put comments in the chat, right? Yeah, so a lot of people still working the 9 to 5, right? Hard to come home at night and want to carve out time. How many who are working the 9 to 5 have kids, right? Have spouses who don't get it. Have people in your life that think you're crazy for owning a business. How many of you guys have those people, right? You should just get your job, right? Yeah. So when it comes to getting unstuck, the first thing I had to learn was, what am I stuck on? And for me, it was always overwhelmed. When I got overwhelmed, I shut down. And when I shut down, everything seemed like it was going to shit, right? Everything seemed like the world was falling apart. Like I couldn't fix it no matter how hard I tried. And it compounded and compounded and compounded. I think back when I met Damien, way back then, I was going to masterminds, I was going to marketing, and I was learning things like, you have to have people to do the work. I can't afford people to do the work. Can't do that. You need to have processes. No, I don't have time for that. That's crazy, right? You start thinking of all these things you probably already know. When you start thinking about being stuck, really just start thinking about, what's one thing I'm stuck with? Don't think about all of the things in your life that suck. What's the one suck, right? Identify it. What I tend to do is I write down lists, right? What's going on, put lists down, do it in your project management, do it wherever. But once you figure out that list, figure out the one thing, right? Figure out the one thing. If I were to fix just this one thing, that alone would make my life better. Right? Just the one thing. Don't go back. When we get stuck, we have a tendency to see every little thing that's wrong. We hate our job more. We don't like our family as much. We don't like our house anymore. We're not happy with our car anymore. It's funny how when we get stuck or when we get frustrated, everything else. And it stems from something called, wait for it, you guys know what it is, stress. Right? When we start stressing, we start having these chemicals that go through our body. You might have heard of like cortisol and things like that, and endorphins. And so when we start stressing, we start having different energies, negative energy for some people, for most people, right? And it starts bleeding into our lives, doesn't it? I mean, it does for me. Damien, I don't know. I don't live in that beautiful location you live in, but you know, you've gone through a lot, and you show up with such a fervor for life and a smile after everything. You and Nikki are just some of the most positive, bright people I know. And I'm sure there's times when you get stuck, right? And when life sucks. So what do you guys do when that happens, right? Again, pick one thing. We don't have to solve everything. We just have to solve one thing. And if we can solve that one thing, guess what we do next? We solve the next thing, right? We can only do one thing at a time. When we try to multitask, studies show that we are not good with anything we're doing. And when we don't multitask, we get done our task quicker, and non-multitaskers save more time. So we think multitasking is good, but it's not. Sometimes I don't turn on my email until 11 o'clock in the morning. What's the worst that could happen by 11 a.m.? Anything? Oh, his server's down. Okay, so it's just 2 hours. If your business opens at 9, what's 11? Take those couple hours a day to what I like to call single task on the one thing you're stuck with. And if you're stuck with that thing and it's going to be a bigger effort to solve, what I've learned to do is break it up. Maybe I'm going to work 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. every day, and I'm not going to turn on email till 10 a.m. or 9 to 11. I'm not going to turn on email till 11 a.m. And in that 2 hours, I'm going to fix the stuff that needs fixing. The one thing until I get done. And then when you're done, go back to your list and say, okay, what's the one thing on this list? Now look, guys, I didn't learn this by some magic trick. I actually read a book called, aptly enough, The One Thing. And I can save you the money of buying it because it just told you what's in the book. It's still a great book. But even that little bit, you come here with Damien, you go and you buy things, or you go to free things, whatever it is. When you're working on your business, when you're spending time on these calls, when you're spending time doing the stuff to fix your business, you're investing in yourself. What's the most important thing on the planet? You. Now, I've had mothers tell me, my kids, no, without you, your kids would suffer. Your kids would struggle. Oh, my husband, my wife, no, without you, they would struggle. It's easy to invest in our kids. It's easy to invest in our spouses. It's easy to invest in houses, cars, boats, whatever you want. By nature, we don't invest in ourselves.
So I want to throw something at you, Lisa, if I can. If the one thing for Riggs was talking to prospects, the fear of face-to-face, then working on that, and I know that there's a long answer on that, but what do you think would be your approach to working on fixing that one thing?
Yeah, now I want to address Greg in the comments. He had the best comment, and he's so right. First of all, do the hardest, worst thing first if you can.
Eat the frog.
Eat the frog. And the reason being is because you get up in the morning, and that hardest, worst thing is going to stay right here all day long. And you got to do it anyway. So why spend all day worrying about it and stressing about it and hating and loathing? Get it done. So when you're thinking about sales, right? I hate sales. Hate it. And it's hard for me to say that because why? Really, I'm known as being the sales trainer, right? I'm known as the person who can close just about anything. It's because I stopped selling. And we can talk about that later, but I stopped selling. So what I would say, Damien, is you have to address the fear. Like, why do you not like selling? Or why are you afraid to sell?
The fear of face-to-face. Like, why?
Like, what is it? Is it the anxiety of you don't like the way you look? Is it your appearance? And I know that sounds shallow, but I promise you, if you don't like the way you look, you're not going to want to be in front of people, right? Are you afraid of saying the wrong thing? Do you some people aren't good at eye contact. What is that thing you can't just say, hey, look, I have this fear of selling in person. It's kind of like you got to figure out, okay, that's actually the symptom of the real fear. You got to dig deep to figure out what the real fear is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so if it's the fear of rejection, ultimately getting a rejection, and the thought that at any time that rejection can come, then we got to look at what is your fear with rejection, right?
Right. Well, and some people can take rejection over an email. It doesn't feel bad. Some people can take rejection, in different ways, but when you're face to face looking someone in the eyes, right? You have to understand that the rejection isn't pointed at you. They're not rejecting you. They might not even be rejecting your offer. In fact, you have no clue what's going on through their head. They could be rejecting themselves. And I had to teach myself to think like that. Like, this isn't about me if they say no. And we have a tendency to beat ourselves up. I didn't say the right thing. I didn't present it the right way. I didn't do the right things. Maybe. But you are never gonna have a perfect sale, right? It's never gonna be, you walk in and everyone smiles, everyone feels great, and they just sign. But we wanna get as close to that as possible, right? So honestly, I call what I do unselling. I stopped selling. I stopped thinking. And listen, let's skip a topic since we're on it. This was my last one. Let's jump in now. When you don't sell, what do you have to do then? Like, I don't care about the sale. if I make a sale, great, but I'm here to figure out what the customer needs, what they want, and can I fit in there? Like, do I have something I can help them with? Not can I fit my peg in their hole, because we don't know what size it is yet. We don't know if it's square, we don't know if it's round, triangle. We have to get in there and we have to consult with them. We have to talk to them. And most of my customers, the number one thing they always say is, man, I feel like I've known you forever. You're so easy to talk to. It's because I'm not a salesperson. Why? Because I hate sales. I created an entire world around myself. I figured out what my fear was, which was in fact asking for money. My fear, when I broke it down, I tell you guys, ask yourself why? When I went down that path and I figured it out, I didn't feel worthy in what I was selling. I didn't feel like what I was selling, I was really confident in back then. Like, oh, I kind of know SEO, but man, I'm not getting consistent results. Or yeah, I'm really good at web design, but there's always a but. There was always something, that was nagging at me. So when I would sit there to sell, obviously that was all in my head. So it was me I was selling. That's how I thought about it. I was selling me. You're not. You're selling your products and your services. I'm not selling you, right? What you're trying to do is get the client to tell you what they want. And in my world, the way I like to sell, I'm also going to get them to sell themselves. Now you hear that so many gurus talk about that. It's not as easy as you think when you're doing what we do, mobile solutions they don't understand, web solutions they don't understand, SEO they don't understand. It's easy to go sell, I always think of people like Zig Ziglar, like pots and pans. Everyone knows they have to cook. How hard was it for him to go sell pots and pans, right? Everyone understood the concept of cooking. He just had to show them the benefits and all these other things to get them convinced that his product was superior to someone else's. We're behind the 8 ball. And we're behind the 8 ball because people don't get what we do. So your first call, in my opinion, if you're really uncomfortable with sales, especially in person, don't sell them. You will not sell them anything on that first call, that first in-person appointment. Just tell yourself that, nope, not going to do it. Find solutions, find processes, which is what I've done in my business, to where there's only one thing we'll sell on a first call, and that's usually like a logo or print. Those are no-brainers. People don't need a whole lot of convincing, but we don't sell websites on the first call unless the customer's like throwing their credit card at us. We don't sell SEO on the first call, period. They can throw their credit card at me on SEO, but there's no way I'm going to sell on that first call. Why? I'm not confident yet. I don't even know what they do. They just call me. I don't know what their market is. I haven't done any research. I haven't done my homework. And more importantly, I haven't set myself up to be in the right frame of mind to consult with them and go through my process of unselling, right? Buy yourself time, right? Get ready, that kind of thing. So, I love it. So you're a flea trainer, Zig Ziglar. David, I'm not sure I understand that. Zig Ziglar, you're a flea trainer. I get that. I'm missing something somewhere in there.
Yeah, you are. I thought you'd recognize that reference. Zig Ziglar had of course, he's written a number of books, and I've seen him live when he was alive. That tells you how old I am. But he told a story about being a flea trainer. He says, "Are you a flea trainer?" And basically he went and told the story about how if you go out and you get some fleas and you put them in a jar and you take the lid off, they're all going to bounce out. But after a few days, they get tired and they don't jump up to the lid and hit themselves on the lid anymore. You can literally take the tap of the jar off and set the jar down, and the fleas can never hop out after that because you've trained them to operate in that fashion. So that's the story of the flea trainer, and so his story went further. Obviously, I'm not going to get into that. I don't want to steal your thunder here, but basically he was teaching salespeople how to train fleas in that regard. And so there's a whole lot of story to that. I won't go into it. I thought you might get the reference.
I didn't, David. That's probably the one Zig Ziglar story I don't know, unfortunately, because
yeah, he's one of my favorites. I used to actually do his voice. He was so much fun to do, you know, because he had that unique presentation voice. But
he did. He was reincarnated into Matthew McConaughey, in my opinion. So, and the next time you watch Matthew McConaughey, you're going to be like, Zig Ziglar, right? Zig Ziglar. So
yeah.
And someone said stinking thinking, right? Zig Ziglar said that, and that's so true.
Yeah.
Zig Ziglar had something in common, David.
Robert Schuller did that too. So it's had a lot about said a lot about stinking thinking and getting over that. But yeah, the two of them were pretty much at the top of their game at the same time, and they had a lot of similarities. One coming from a religious perspective, and actually Zig Ziglar was very religious himself, but he never really got into that.
All right. Hold on. By popular demand here, you're going to have to give us the voice, and then we'll tee it back over to you.
Yeah, I haven't done that in 30 years. I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, mute your self-practice. We're coming back to you.
Well, you know what? I got to listen to him first. I'm sorry. I'll tell you what. Ask me on a future date. I'm in enough of these calls.
All right.
But I would like to answer some of your questions. You really haven't had much discussion here. I know that's what you were looking for tonight.
Yep.
So I wrote down two things. One is the thing that hangs me up, right? And the other is my biggest fear. Those are the two general areas you've covered so far. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So the first one being what would be a sticky point for me, and then that is I started the agency that I have in 1995. So I'm entering my 27th year. That makes me the oldest guy on the block probably in this room. But I'm 100 years old, but I don't look a day over 65. Anyway, I've revamped my agency many times over that period because technology changes. Things go bump in the night with whatever you're working with. God knows how many times I've had to change the platforms that I was operating on because they got, for one thing or another, they were getting hacked or whatever, and my clients were screaming. I'm sure a bunch of you that have been around for a while have gone through some of that stuff. Damien, you've had to do that with mobile apps where the platforms didn't agree with you, and then changes come and you got to relearn, and we're constantly in that I thought I had everything done and now I got to go back to school again mode. So I guess I'm really a salesman. I started a technology business because I wanted to own an agency. So I got out of the sales side of it and became a gig. I became a bit of a tech guy. But it was never my heart to be a tech guy. I do it because I have to do it. I don't do it because I want to do it. And it was always my thing to build an agency that I could work on and not work in. So I want to get to the point where I've got some tech people that can work with me so that I can build a multi-million-dollar agency because I'm a pioneer and that's what I do. I can sell. I'm a good closer. I did one-stop close in a health insurance environment. Went in. If I couldn't sell health insurance, I didn't go back a second time. And I was in the top 6% in the nation for that particular company. So I did pretty well with selling. I was a sales manager. I've owned many companies, many different industries. But this is the one that I've stuck with. This is the one that I want, and I have a vision for it. But I need some partners. That's my biggest stumbling block is I need to find 2 or 3 people who can work alongside of me and help me make some money from the investments that I've made. I make $30,000 to $50,000 a year in investments in this agency, and I'm not even taking on clients. So I want to get out there, take on some clients, have some fun, because I like getting belly to belly and face to face with people. That's just what I like to do. I don't want to be the tech guy. I don't want to sit there and work. You know, that stuff drives me nuts. So I'm living for a long time now. I've lived in an environment that I've had to live in, and I want to get into the environment that I want to live. And I know that if I'm in the right role in my own company, then we'll have a very successful company. But it's taken me a long time to get there. So what's my biggest fear? My biggest fear is fulfillment. I'm afraid that I can outsell anything I can deliver. And that's not the same kind of problem most people have in this room.
It is.
But,
well, David, I challenge the room. Anyone else afraid of fulfillment? Getting the work done, getting it done, stumbling, maybe disappointing your customer?
Yeah, all of that, because I really care about my clients.
Yeah, I would bet a lot of people. I think right now you're thinking you've got this unique situation, but in your head, if you don't feel like you or your company or your business can actually fulfill, you don't want to take their money out of fear of, my customers aren't going to like me. That's
right. I don't have time for all the training that I've got to do. I don't have time to sit in all of these webinars all day long every day to try to just figure out the basics of the software that I've bought, and how to use it and learning the different caveats. But I'm not focusing on one product here. I'm focusing on a complete professional digital agency, which is why I have so many vendor partnerships, and why I want to, why I feel like if I had a couple of people that could move and shake on the other side of the aisle, we'd have something great here. But until I do, I don't know how to get really from point A to point B, and I'm not going to give this after the first of the year. So I either got to do this in 90 days, or I'm going to go do ministry full time.
So let's talk about that. Let's address that, because it kind of puts me into our second topic, right? The power of belief. And we will address that passive income, because that's what you're looking to do, David. You're looking to have other people fulfill. You just sell it. That's passive income. But let's talk about belief first. I heard you say, if this doesn't work out in 90 days, I'm going to go do this.
Right.
You've already told yourself this is not going to work out.
No. Oh, I haven't. I've been at this for 27 years. I put a deadline.
You've been at tech, running your own company for 27 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I said, if I, and my wife keeps asking me every year, do you really want to keep dumping money into this thing? Do you really want to? I say, yeah, this is my vision. This is what I want to do. But by the end of the year, I've got a wife, I've got a spouse, and she said, let's put a date on it. Let's see, because, that's $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 we can invest somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know your specific situation. I don't know your particular business. But if you gave me $50,000 today, I would have $1 million in a year or less.
Right.
So how do you get from there?
Not doing things right.
Yeah, how do you get from here to there? And Damien can tell you, once it's kind of crazy, but once you figure it out, it literally is like riding a bike. Once you learn how to make money, you can't not make money. It's very hard to not be able to monetize anything. In fact, it becomes annoying to your family and friends sometimes, because you could be somewhere and go, man, that person, if they did this, and this, they could monetize that, and they're doing this wrong. But you got to start with the big.
I'm not sure about that where I'm concerned. I mean, I've had many successful businesses, but this is the one that I want, and this is the one that I'm struggling with. So here, I had a used car business, I had an insurance practice, I had a marine distribution company, I was a factory rep. I did a lot of stuff. I had a temporary employment agency. You name it, and I probably pioneered a business in it. So this is nothing new. It's just that this is the one that's driving me crazy.
Well, I mean, all businesses are the same. You need the same things, right? You need a product to sell. You need a fulfillment team to fulfill it and know you can fulfill it. You need processes to make sure it happens on a streamlined basis. and
I need to
happen.
breathe right now. I just want to go out and sell.
And
You know,
you need a
I'm
market.
anxious to sell.
And you need a market that wants what you have, right?
And wants what you have, right? And David, when I hear you say, I just want to go out and sell, then why are you wanting so badly to be a business owner in this business? Do you know how many people on this call would love for you to sell and hand them customers? It would be very easy to become a person that brokers out your sales.
Yeah, let me
Yeah,
answer
so
that. Okay,
Maybe
because-
do some
because
soul
I-
searching
yeah.
to say, do I really want to be a business owner? Do I want to manage the staff and the fulfillment and all these things? And that's what I talk, like what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
that's not the issue.
Okay.
I want to retire, but I want to retire as who I am and not who I'm not. I want to keep the company. I want to own the company, and I want to, and I would like to remain to be the face of the company, but I don't want to be in the trenches at that point. So I'm not looking for a job. I'm 65 years old. The last thing I want to do is work a 40, 50-hour a week job.
I thought you were 100.
Well, you
100.
know, I'm 65 on the inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, at the end of the
I
day,
tell my wife I'm 17, so don't tell her that, okay?
none of us really, David, want to work, right? We all would love money to just be there and us never to work. There's no way to fix the business until you figure out what's wrong. And it sounds to me, and I don't know, again, I haven't looked at your business. I don't know what kind of tech you're in. I don't know what you do. And I don't think we want to get into that, but
I don't want to hog the ball here tonight. Either.
yeah,
That's not
but
what
at
I'm
the end of the
doing.
day, when I talk about belief, okay, and I know it sounds like bunk to a lot of people. If you've ever read a book by Napoleon Hill,
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich,
There
okay?
you go. Never heard of it.
Yep. People don't think that's real. And I'm here to tell you, if you think you're going to fail, you're going to fail. And sometimes we don't even know we're sabotaging our own efforts. When we soul search, when we go back, when we look at why, when we keep asking why, you know, I can't seem to get this done. Why? And we keep going backwards to it. If I go back, for instance, and I'll be very raw and candid here, if I go back to my childhood, when I was told, you know, we're not ever going to be those people. We're not ever going to be rich. You know, I grew up in a very immigrant family, raised by my grandparents who went through depression. Be happy with what you have. This is your lot in life. And I bought that for years. My beliefs, my stuff, you know, in the back of my brain that I didn't even get, that I wasn't even focused on. Like, no, I'm working my ass off. I'm working hard. Why am I struggling with my business? For the first 5 years of my business, I struggled. It was not all, you know, roses. I was, as Damien probably doesn't know, I think I've shared with him in the past though, I was up on stage painting this glorious picture. And while I was making a ton of money, I was struggling and I was unhappy. And in my terms, I was failing because my measure was always, I have to make $1 million. I have to make $1 million. Why? It was my measure of success. I had all the wrong priorities. I had all the wrong stuff going on because all the junk in my head. When I faced that and I started digging deeper into that, and a lot of people say, man, that stuff's bunk. It's not. It's not. And I'll give you a good example. For 10 years, we went to a lake home. 10 years. And we rented a little place for our RV. And we always dreamed someday we're going to have that. Someday. And then my dad died. And when he died, I thought, oh, yeah, life goes quick. So I said to myself, yeah, no, we're going to do this. Called a real estate agent and said, you know, I'm looking for some land. Now, land never comes up where I want to be. 1 month later, I owned the land I wanted, where I wanted, because I changed, like right in my head. I set those wheels in motion. So you got to get into your, and I hate to say it, but you got to get into your baggage, right? The crap, you know, my father died and I always hid the success I had because guess what? When I grew up, what did he tell me? That's not your lot in life. You never, so I felt like I would disappoint him. Isn't that weird, right? But this is all the junk that was all up here when I was sitting across from a sale, when I was trying to build an agency, when I was trying to hire the right people, trying to get a trained, staff together, I wasn't failing because I didn't know what to do. I was failing because I was in my head all the time. Now, that's not true for everyone, but that's what my truth was. When I dealt with my baggage, when I dealt with everything from, my parents, my family, my wife, everything, when I dealt with everything in my life that was really holding me back, we soared. We quickly went from mid six figures, literally, to $3.5 million. Because nothing was in my way anymore. And I'm not saying quickly, like we're talking another 5 years in between there, right? So it did happen, and it took time. It's not going to happen in 90 days. And that's why when I hear you say something's got to happen in 90 days or I'm done, if you've been doing this 27 years and you're saying 90 days or nothing, save your 90 days, because you don't believe you can do this. And until you in your head say, look, I don't care what happened in the past. I don't care about those 27 years. In 90 days, I want to have 2 sales doing this, or I want to have this person hired, or I want to fix this problem. You can't go in 90 days from not having everything fixed, everything in perfect condition. But what do you think 90 days is going to give you? Like, what's the fix? What's your measure? I don't think you're going to get there because you don't even know where there is right now. So that's what I'm talking about when I say, like, to get unstuck, you got to ask why 1,000 times. Why is this stuck? Why is this a problem? You got to dig deep to figure out all the little things. And then once you figure it out, if you don't believe you can do it, like 100%, like go Napoleon Hill on me, right? And those people who like, oh, he's full of shit. No, he's not. The information he's giving you came from researching 500 of the richest men up until that point that ever lived on this planet. And mind you, the book's 83 years old. Some of his words are dated, and some of the things he said is dated, like, the sex transmutation and things like that. But look, he's right. If you're with a partner that doesn't share the same vision as you, if you don't align your visions or find a compromise to those visions, Damien, I don't know what you're allowed to say on these calls, so
go ahead, say you
you're fucked, right? That's it. I mean, you're going to be battling your wife, your husband, your family, your demons, your beliefs, and you got enough to battle. So you got to try to hit every one of them. I remember a time going out of this office and being a total jerk and having it thrown back in my face, like, what did I do? Why do I deserve this, right? And we finally had to come to terms that you're right. This is not your fault, but you're the person I get to take it out on. Fortunately, I'm with someone who said, no, you're not going to take it out on me. So either I was going to fix the problems or I was not going to continue to be in this marriage, right? And I've been with the same person for 24 years. So I picked staying married, which didn't mean I give up my business. It meant I had to fix the problem. And the problem was, I want to be able, or at least this one problem, I want to be able to come in this office and do my work. I want you to let me have 3 hours of focused, dedicated time. Don't open the door. Don't text me from the kitchen. Can you come out here? None of that. If you give me that, I will give you the rest of the damn day. Well, that was a great deal. Guess what I get? Focused time without interruptions. So that's what I'm talking about. I mean, you got to get down to the nitty gritty of the problems. Why was I stressed all the time? It wasn't because I wasn't doing the right things. A lot of times I was projecting things. Well, you don't let me work. What do you mean I don't let you work? I didn't say anything. I'm putting my own guilt, my own everything. So what we believe, how we feel, how we think is probably more important. If you remember at the beginning of the call, the one thing I said, the power of belief is going to be the number one thing that you can fix. If you can fix that with yourself, if you can unequivocally say 100% I'm going to succeed, you will. If you set a goal and say, I am going to sell this many things by this date, you will. But you can't just say it. I mean, you have to believe it. You have to manifest it. you got to say like, it's just not, or non-negotiable that's going to happen. Damien, I know you're that guy. I've been around you long enough. You know, Damien wants something. Damien goes after it. There is no for Damien, right? He believes in it. He puts it in motion and it happens.
I got the wife I want. I got the house I want. I live in the country I want. I did all these things that I wanted just because I just got after it, right?
Oh, but
no,
you
I
fixed
appreciate that. I understand.
Yeah. You know, like, why weren't you living in the country you want? Like, I hear people all the time say, well, I live here. I don't really like it. But what the hell are you doing there? Because you get one life. It's going to go pretty quickly. It could leave tomorrow. Why are you living where you don't want to live? Why don't you have that's, and it took me, believe it or not, 2019, my dad died. And I thought he would live longer. He was 80, but he was hiking the Grand Canyon at 80 and then he dies. Now, in hindsight, he died of COVID, but hey, it doesn't matter. The point was it changed my life and made me reflect quite a bit. And I was already in this transformation. I was already fixing a bunch of stuff, but talk about speeding up all of my deadlines. And now I have the lake house I want. It's about to be finished. I have this house. Now I'm starting to look for my lake house in Minnesota. We want one of those too. I have everything I need monetarily. So what am I fixing now? And what I have fixed? If you guys don't know this about me, I work 5 to 10 hours of business a week in my business. 5 to 10 hours. That's what I work. That's it. Because that was the next thing. Yeah. But Damien, I didn't say I don't work more hours during the week. I tend to come up with new things to do or new adventures or new things. But at the end of the day, you know, you have to believe you can have it and then you have to go after it and get it. Now, I'm not trying to belittle what David said. I mean, working hard, I mean, there's a lot of things that get stuck. That's why you think about Damien, you think about other people. Damien gives you a solution. He tries to teach you how to do it the way he does it. And if you follow it and really work at it, hopefully that works. That doesn't mean it's perfect, but at least you're working it, right?
Hey,
but
Lisa,
I'm telling you,
really
figure that stuff out.
I'm hearing some stuff in the chat here from Donna, who's out in Malaysia right now. I so enjoy you. Even Leonard up here says, oh my God, I love this. Julie loves this. So it's totally up to you. We can close down 10 minutes after the top of the hour, or you can keep going. But I know you have your points you want to deliver. I want you.
Yeah, no, I'm good for as long as y'all want to stay. And I do have, you know, some cocktails to get to, but that's okay. Definitely here to talk. I'd love to, you know, come up with a couple other things and talk about those. But anybody here feeling like this is bullshit? Like, let's talk about it, right? Like, don't be afraid to say, Lisa, I think you're full of shit, or hey, that's not gonna work for me, or because I'm telling you, if you would have told me this stuff 5 years ago, I'd have been hitting the off button, right? Because I was so screwed up in my head. It really was. Like I said, with Damien all those years back, I was making back then probably $500,000 a year, and I was struggling. I was struggling because I was working 80 and 100 hours a week. When I soul searched, and how I came to where I am today is I went back and kept asking myself, why, like I'm talking about. Money was never the thing I really wanted. I thought it would buy me the freedom I wanted. Freedom was what I wanted. I didn't want to be owned by a company. I didn't want to be told what to do. I didn't want to be undervalued. I didn't want to hate the people I work with. I wanted to get up and decide I wanted to work that day. I wanted to go to the lake when I wanted to. Almost like going back to that primitive lifestyle. I know it sounds weird. I have all the luxury. So trust me, I'm not a camper. I'm a glamper. But going back to those times where, I don't know, I almost want to say the 50s, right? Because if we go back, you know, back to the dark ages, man, they worked harder than we'll ever imagine working. But I wanted that. That was the thing I wanted, right? And that is what you have to figure out. Like, what do you really want? I mean, the money's great. If you can figure out the stuff in your head, money's the easy part, right? And I know right now you're saying it's not easy for me. Look, I was always the sales guru, so the money was never the hard part for me. So I'm fortunate in that way. When I had a full-time job, it was a very good, as an executive at a company, I had a good job. Yet, I sat and worked 100 hours a week working for the equivalent of $10 an hour. Why would anyone do that? Oh, yeah, I'm technical. Nobody but me can do this, right? It's hard to find good help. No, I can't do this. Oh, I'm going to have to figure out the processes. Now, look, I'll be honest with you. There are ways to buy the solutions. You can do that, right? You can go buy programs. But if you don't fix what's between, in the brain and between the ears, that kind of stuff, it'll be a shiny object you put in the shelf. How many of you guys have shiny objects? Oh man, I have some. For all you SEO guys, I'll just give you an SEO autopilot. Never opened it. $1,800, never opened it. What? I can tell you all the shiny objects I never opened. They're all going to fix my problems. No, because I didn't fix this up here. Once I fix this up here, I actually hired a full-time SEO. He uses SEO autopilot now. Dang it, I'm getting my money's worth. I couldn't speak to the clients all the time and still get my leads and my sales. Damn it, I gotta hire that person. So that's what we're gonna get into next, passive recurring income. But before we do, a couple things I saw in the trash, right? I saw in the chat. No, because David said the mind trash.
There you go.
Holds most of us back. I love that, mind trash. Guys, new word, man, new word, mind trash. Somebody go buy mindtrash.com right now. All right. Patrick asked, what was your turning point? What got you unscrewed in your head? It wasn't one thing. It was a series of things. The first real catalyst was sitting at a campground, and we'd be working. Like that campground I told you we'd go to, we'd be working. We might go out fishing or boating for 2 hours, but then we had to come back and work. And an older couple was camping across the way from us. They were there for like 3 weeks. And they were, I guess, watching us because they had nothing better to do. And the guy came over and said, hey, we want to talk to you. I'm like, what did I do? That's all I could think, like, what did I do? Long story short, him and his very crippled wife come over, sit down, we cook them hamburgers on the grill, we have a beautiful night, we talk, and at the end of the night, he says, hey, here's what I wanted to talk about. He said, I am a multimillionaire, and I spent my whole life doing what you're doing right now. He's like, I bet you make a lot of money. Now, he could tell because we had a, $120,000 camper sitting there. He's like, but you're not living. You're working and working and working. He said, I did that because when I retire, I'm going to have all this stuff. And I tell this story so many times, but I get goosebumps every time. He said, but 1 month after we retired, we got in a horrific car accident. And my wife has been crippled ever since. She can barely get out of bed most days, let alone do all the things we wanted to do. And so now we have all this money and she can't do anything. And he too had neck problems and back problems. Between them, they had like countless surgeries. And that night he sat there and said, you need to do something about that. Now that is what made me start my business. That's when I actually decided to start my business. But the big turning point for me was finding a mentor and getting somebody that didn't blow smoke up my ass, right? Like I would sit there and say something like, yeah, things are too technical, bullshit, right? If you died tomorrow, the internet would still be around. That's how I was being talked to. And it would actually piss me off. And I'd be like, dude, I'm paying you for this? Best thing that ever happened to me. Because he sent me down that path. The books I've read. So, I can't think of one thing, but the books I've read, the relationships, Damien doesn't know this story because I've never told it. But the night we played ping pong, I was a brand new speaker. I'd never spoken on stage until that event. And I spoke and it went well and we really did stuff. And then we went to that party that night and I didn't know a soul because I didn't know all these speakers. Damien is not the guy that will ignore anybody in the room. He came up and he was just so good to me, right? He was so kind and friendly and nice to me. Again, the people that I started getting around, the people that I started talking to. I've gone to plenty of Damien's trainings. I've gone to so many others, and today I still sit on calls and listen. If you're in a lot of the same spaces, I'm a big SEO person, so if you're in a lot of the same SEO spaces, now you're going to recognize my name around there. I'm still sitting on those calls sometimes. So I don't think there was a turning point, if that makes sense. I think it was a journey, but the realization, right? The realization that I was the problem was probably the turning point. Like, I had to look inward and say, look, I can blame my significant other if I want. I could go out there and say, this is your fault because you don't let me do that. Wait a minute. I'm projecting that. That wasn't the truth. And until we sat and had that conversation, and I was open to hearing the feedback of, I've never said you couldn't work late. All I've ever done is support you. All I've ever done is try to be here for you. And all you ever do is yell at me, and you don't have any time for me. And here I still sit 5 years later. That was the conversation, I think, that woke me up. The words, here I sit 5 years later. We started the business, and I didn't come out of this room ever. I mean, you'll have your own, I think, aha moment. You'll have your own situation, but you got to realize that you control your destiny. It's that power of belief, right? Only you control your destiny. Only you create your own luck. Matter of fact, there's no such thing as luck, right? People say if one door closes, another one will open. Kick the door down that closed. Screw the other door, right? That's how I think now. And I didn't think like that back then. There's no excuses. It's nobody's fault if I don't succeed because I'm the business owner. Otherwise, if you're working 80 hours a week, I guess I learned, the coach once said to me, Lisa, you just have another job. No, I own a business. No, you just have another job. How many people work for you? 2. Yeah. How many hours do you work? 100. Yeah, you have a job. You're not a business owner. And he would talk to me like that because he was a great coach and mentor. He knew what I needed. He knew that I needed someone to wake me up and say, you're full of shit. Go figure out your baggage and everything will change. And by golly, it did. Now, I know some people say, well, is he still your coach today? No, I actually grew out of him, per his words. And but I've gone on to have other coaches and other mentors and be around other people and join masterminds. The one mastermind I always wanted to join, Damien, and I never will, is the Maverick group. And that's just because I don't travel like you guys do, and I don't do the kind of stuff you do. So I would be the bump on the log. I don't do that stuff. So, but being around those type of people, right? Come in here every week, man. Invest in you, figure out your stuff. So a couple more comments on here. Oh my God, you're so confident. I've lost mine, especially on the phone. Take it back. Figure out why you're not confident, right? People say, oh, you can learn to be confident. You don't need to learn anything. You just need to figure out why you're not confident. For me, it was exactly what David said. I mean, David was spot on. I was afraid I would fail. So it was very hard to sell people SEO contracts when you're not sure how the hell to do SEO and you don't have people to do it for you. I was afraid. Once I got an SEO on my team, boy, that fear went away really quick. Once we got our processes laid out, and now when we get a customer, we do this, 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 done. That confidence will come back. So figure out why you're not confident. What's the problem? Go fix that problem. The confidence will come because of that. I mean, these are just my opinions, guys. Jump in, Damien, or some other person. I mean, I'll talk all night if somebody doesn't jump in. I'm just looking at.
Yeah, Michael Popper, when I had talked about your other topics, he definitely wants to make sure you get through all the topics for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's do that. And if there's any good questions that you guys think I need to ask, jump in and tell me. Passive recurring income. And the reason I want to talk about this is because it's going to solve all the problems you're probably having. Not the word passive, but not the word recurring, but the word passive. And here's why. So obviously we don't want to sell $20 products that people only need one time. That's a bad business model. $3,000 websites, that's decent. But wait, couldn't I sell them other stuff, right? You got to think about that, right? You got to think about recurring. Every customer should turn into a recurring customer of some sort. If you do website design, they should do hosting. If you do mobile sites, charge them for hosting, right? A monthly fee. If you do anything, where can this recurring model fit in, right? People ask me all the time, Lisa, why do you do logos? You don't need to do logos. Logos turn into websites. Websites turn into SEO customers. It's my lead gen strategy. It's on purpose. It's by design. Who else gets paid to prospect? I do. I have no advertising budget technically outside of my Facebook budget because I'm making more than I'm spending, if that makes sense, right? It's not a loss, it's a gain. So when you think about recurring, it's important. You gotta have recurring. It's easier to sell to the same customer. In fact, one of the statistics, and I'm pulling this out of my head, so if I'm slightly off, if you can actually increase your client retention by 5%, serious, 5%, you can up your revenue by 25 to 65%. There's a reason why they have Black Friday. They just want you in the store. They'll lose money to get you in the store, right? There's a reason why people have lost leaders. So you want to think recurring. I don't care if it's mobile. I don't care if it's website. Once you decide what you're going to sell, the biggest thing is a passive business. Now, I'm not saying you don't have to do anything. Nobody has to do anything. But your time has to be so valuable that you guard it like your money, right? If you had $1,000, would you just go throw it out on the street and hope it's going to do some good for you again? No, it's never going to be seen again. Time is like that, right? I can make more money, can't make more time. Time is precious. So when we think about having a passive business, look, I still work 5 to 10 hours in my business, right? Right? I like that, Patrick. It's cheaper to keep her. Exactly. It's cheaper to keep a customer. Passive means one by one, I start my business. It's just me. Here's what we did in the past, guys, or at least what I did. I started my business and every dollar that came in went right into my pocket. And then I worked a ton of hours and I made more money and they all went in my pocket. And then the more I made, the more I didn't want to give money away, because in my mind, business was like playing a video game. Weird, but true for me. I wanted to see my bank account get higher and higher. I didn't want to spend any of that. I wanted it all for me because remember, my ego, my beliefs, my everything about my past, all the baggage I had, my childhood, all came down to I was worthless and I was never going to be anything when I grew up. So I'm trying to prove to myself that I'm something, and how I thought something was $1 million in my bank account. It was literally my goal. So I wouldn't spend $1. Hindsight, and I'll tell you a fact, had I spent along the way, hired a team, created processes, and do all the things I do today, I would have hit my numbers 2 or 3 times as fast. But I didn't know that. I had no one to tell me that, right? You got to spend money to make money. I have to be available to run my business, to come up with new ideas, to figure out what the next plan is, or most importantly, live my life. So got to have people doing the work. And that's the passive part. If you don't have a passive recurring business, you work a job. That doesn't mean you can't work on your business, but your goal should be to hire. How many people here have a car with a car payment? Yes, no, yes. Seeing some shake-ins, right? Okay. Did you pay cash? How many people paid cash? Right? How many people financed? Who financed a car? Who's got car payments? Right? How much money would you borrow if you could to fix your business right now? 20, 30,000? Would you borrow that right now, this instant, to fix your business? Do you know what the answer is for most people? No. We don't want to hire. We don't want to invest in ourselves. We don't want to give back any of that money because we see it as an expense. But let me give you an example. I have a web developer, and yes, he's in India, and I provide him a lovely salary, and I've changed the quality of his life to the extent that he thanks me and sends me pictures, and even his kids make drawings for us and tell us how thankful they are that we employ them. And the money I pay him, the work he does makes me 10 to 20 times itself every single month. Now he's making more than a doctor in India because he's been with me 8 years now, and I continue to give him raises, right? But let's say you say to me right now, I can't afford to do that. But can you? If you took out a loan for the car that's going to depreciate and be worth nothing, then you do have the mindset of borrowing. So why wouldn't you borrow for your business? Go hire that person, teach them what they need to know, get them working, figure things out, and then turn around and hire the next guy and the next guy. And that's what I've done. And we have 24 people on our team now. And each one of them, if they don't 3X what I pay them, I look for reasons why. That is a passive business. Am I there? Yes, I have only 3 people I talk to, my 3 leads. Everybody else, I talk to them, but their problems aren't my problems. I only solve problems when the leads can't solve them. So I do have a passive business now. I'm still active. I'm still the head of it. I'm still in charge of it, but it's passive. It gives me time to go on and do other things. The biggest problem is right now you're thinking, that's all well and great, but man, who's going to come up with the processes and who's going to train the people? Look, either you do that or you buy that. There are programs you can buy. And I'm not here to sell, Damien, so that's all I'm going to say. But there are programs you can buy. There are people you can learn from. There are things you can get in your life. The processes are done for you. But if you've got the mindset to say, okay, I'm not going to do that process, right? You have to stop working. And you have to think about that $1,000 investment in that person, that $2,000 a month investment in that person. Remember, guys, in the Philippines and India, places like that, a good VA, a good employee, and I'm not talking, by the way, I'm not talking the 4-hour work week type of stuff where it's so easy. It's not, right? It takes work hiring and training people. But the salaries range anywhere from a good person, $600 a month to around $1,200 a month. That's it. All those websites you're doing, all those things you're doing. I mean, I know Damien, he's got a program. It's so good where, they make the dang mobile sites for you. You don't have to do anything. You charge your customer and you get it cheap. That's passive recurring income, right? So that's the kind of stuff you want to look for. That's the kind of stuff you want to do. You don't want to do service-based work. Like people always ask me, Lisa, do you do private coaching? Nope. Why not? Because that's an hourly thing. And unless you're going to pay me $1,000 an hour, I won't show up. And not many people are willing to pay $1,000 an hour. So do I not do it? No. I mean, there's a couple times I've done it, but that is my hourly rate. Not because that's what I'm selling to people, because that's what I told myself I make an hour. So if somebody comes and says, Lisa, can you do this for me? And trust me, my spouse does that. Like, hey, can you do this? I'm like, get whoever. Like I even do that. Like go call the PM or go do. I'm not doing that, please. Right? And I even joke, you got $1,000, So I'm in that mindset that my time's worth $1,000. Now, does that mean right now, am I making $1,000? No, but I only work so many hours a week and everything I bring in has to total and pay me $1,000. So would I mow my own lawn? Nope. Do I go get my own groceries? Nope. Right? If I love doing something, you should. Like I love driving our tractor, so I will go clear land and drive the tractor. And that stuff's fun and I'm having a blast. But the stuff I don't like to do, I'm paying for. Because time is how you're going to get to a passive business. If you can't walk away and have a vacation, I didn't have one for over 7 years. From 2011 to 2018, I didn't have a vacation. People say, well, you went some places. I'm like, I did. And I worked every day while I was at those places. I couldn't walk away from my business. I just took a 10-day vacation and I checked in a couple times. That's passive. That's your goal as a business owner. It's not to get out of your job and then work another job. That's the kind of stuff I want you guys to start thinking about. because it's hard to build a business. The why isn't the money, right? If you do the right things, the money will come. And I keep saying it's easy because if you do the right things, the money will come. The freedom, on the other hand, you can still make money and still be working stupid hours. I know, because I am the person. You're looking at the case study right here. Making $500,000 a year, working 100 hours a week. Why? I had plenty of money to hire. Why was I not hiring? Remember what we talked about before? It's all up there, right? When you were growing up, do you remember in school when they asked you, hey, what kind of business do you want to own? You guys remember that? Oh wait, they didn't say that to us, did they? They didn't, did they? What job do you want? Who do you want to be when you grow up, right?
That's right.
None of us grew up being encouraged to own businesses unless we actually came from business owner type families. And even those people tend to push people into jobs like, man, I work too hard. You don't want to be me. You want to sit in a cushy office. No, you don't. No, you don't. 2019, I went to Disney World right before the pandemic 5 times. That's the life you want because you can. I spent 12 weeks traveling. I was in Florida. I was here. I was there. That's the life you want. Was my computer with me? Of course. Right? 5 times, Damien. I love Disney World. I'm definitely a junkie. We went 0 in 2020 because that silly thing called the pandemic. But anyhow, really, passive recurring income, that's a life changer. That's the stuff that you should be going for. Like, I want to work 20, 30 hours a week, and I want to have time for my kids and the sports and activities I want to do. And, like if Damien moved to Mexico and he sat in a house all the time, that would suck, right? But that's not what Damien does, because I actually watch his Facebook. And if you're not on Damien's Facebook, go on. Man, they're living the life. Love it. You see pictures of him and Nikki at the waterfalls and doing this. That's why we opened a business, right? At least in my opinion. That's what we really wanted. That will never come if you don't have people working for you or outsourcing, or you don't have a solution of some sort to where you don't do the work. So if right now you don't have a lot of customers, you're saying, man, when I have more customers, I'll go ahead and hire someone. Well, you're never going to have as many customers as you need because you're too busy doing the work. So you're not out there growing, selling, having time to sit leisurely on calls like this, right? You guys are here, but you know what I'm saying? So you have to hire people even when you think you can't afford it. Afford it. You don't have to hire a full time. Maybe you get half time. Maybe pay someone by the hour. But at the end of the day, do that as soon as possible, even if you had to. Now, earlier I said, if David gave me $50,000, I can make $1 million in 1 year, 100%. But here's the thing. If you gave me nothing except a computer and the internet, I could do the same thing. Why? Because I would start by going out there and doing certain things. And so let's pretend we're a TV show. Lisa, what would you do? This is always fun. Well, number one, I would go out and I would hire people on Upwork and tell them that I would pay them a salary, and their salary is after they've worked for me a month, right? No money out of pocket, right? I haven't spent any dollars, right? Then I would go out and hustle. I'm on the internet, so I'm probably not SEO'd, so I'm probably going to have to be very creative at getting my first sale. The minute I got my first sale, whatever, if it took me the whole month and I had to canvas the streets, I don't care what, that $3,000 for a website or that $5,000, whatever I got, reinvest it. Now, I might not get to keep any of the money for the most of that year, but by the end of the year, I would be doing very well. I would not do any of the work. Now, it's easy to say now that like I know everything. It was so hard to learn, right? I mean, I'll be honest, this is not easy stuff. I'm making it sound easy. It is not. It is work. There's no easy button. There's no magic pill. Anybody out there that claims there is, I don't care in their program and whatever, it's not. There's easier buttons, but you still got to put in the work. If you're willing to put in the work, you believe it's going to happen, it's going to happen, right? It's going to happen. So passive recurring income, think about it. I take this as an example. Everyone knows what a website is, right? Someone wants to sell a website for $3,000. You think, oh, well, there's no recurring money in that. Okay. What did Wix do? It's $200 a month to get a website. Oh, good. How many months do I pay for that? Forever. Wait a minute. Isn't it cheaper to get a website? Yep, $3,000 to get a website. Do you have $3,000? No, most people won't invest in their businesses, and Wix knows it. $3,000 today, $200 today. What do people do? Oh, I'm going to pay the $200, and then when I make money, I'll go ahead and have a website built. I can't tell you how many people come to us and like, man, I got to leave Wix, man. I've been with them for like 6 years, and I keep paying them like $200 a month. Man, I just spent a lot of money. So there are ways to make even a recurring income on something you don't think. How many of us like get to buy software once and never pay for it again anymore? Nope. Subscription. TV, subscription. Phone, subscription. Recurring income. That's what the big businesses are doing, right? So when someone says to me, oh, I don't want to spend $3,000 on a website, I'm like, great. What type of payments can you make? And guess what? There's always an extra charge for making payments. Oh, you have to host with us too, by the way, if you're going to make payments. You can't host anywhere else. That's an additional charge. There's always a way to make recurring income. But when you add on top of that, the passive, guys, right? And it's a family. I mean, let's be honest. People say, oh, you're hiring out in the Philippines. Damien, I don't know if you've experienced this. Some of the most appreciative people on the planet, some of the nicest people on the planet, India, the Philippines are the two countries we go to. They're like my family. When COVID hit, the only thing I cared about is that the people who work for me kept their jobs. I put up my own money to make sure. Now, we didn't lose any money during COVID, thank goodness, but I would have. I literally would have put up my own money to make sure they stayed, because my team is what makes me money, right? They're my passive income. They're my passive income. It's like putting money in the bank. I put my money in the web developer bank, and then I go sell websites, and I get back a whole bunch more money than what I spent. Or, think about it like that. It's like a savings account. This guy is going to learn my process. He's going to do what I want him to do, and he's going to do it all day long. And because I'm paying him like he's a surgeon in his country, ain't going nowhere. Ain't going nowhere. So good stuff. I don't know if you guys usually talk more, Damien, or just do the people on here do all the talking?
There's no set way. It's whatever's organically just, this is what we were doing so far is amazing, right? Who loves what we've been doing thus far? I see almost 100% of the people on here that started still on here.
Good.
And it is a little longer, usually we go 90 minutes max. I know you still got some stuff, but look, everybody's loving it. It's outstanding.
Yeah.
Look, they're lighting up the chat.
Good. All right. Well, someone just asked.
We might have to get you back next week, actually, too. Not on the happy hour, during the week.
No, and if I did it next week, I'd probably want to be very structured because I just talk too much. Lisa, are your people VAs 1099s? Not only are my VAs overseas 1099, in the US, the only hire I'll make is another company. So even if it's one person, I require them to open an LLC for two reasons. One, I want them to understand what a business is because that's how we run our business. Two, I want them to have the same freedom I have. Nobody that works for my company, or works with my company, I should say, has less freedoms than me. You manage your schedule, you take off when you want, you take whatever vacation you want. I pay you a monthly salary. Do the work, get it done. If you're not responsible, you probably won't hang out with us long. But responsible people, that is what we do. They get their own write-ups. They get their own tax credits, I only hire 1099 workers, and in the US, they have to be a company, right? I'm B2B. I want them to know what it's like to run their own company because they're talking to my customers, and my customers are businesses. So now with that rule, they're free to have their own customers. They're free to do their own thing as well. So I don't limit them. I don't tell them what they have to do. If they want to take Fridays off in the summer, if you're client facing, you talk to the clients, you better block your calendar on Friday. That's all I can tell you. You want to take 10 days off? Figure it out. Do you have client meetings? You're going to get someone to replace you because it ain't going to be me? Or maybe you'll, bring your computer and step on your vacation and talk to that client. I give them the same freedoms I take. I would never expect anyone to have any less than what I have. That level of respect, what it does, that it earns you undying loyalty. And I mean that. I mean, we are a family. My people have jobs until the day I don't have a company, and frankly, one of them will probably own it at that point because I don't have kids to pass down to. So honestly, 1099s, really, I mean, that's easy. I mean, it's not hard to do, right? Not hard to do. So good question though, good question. Let's see, 1099 in the Philippines, haven't heard that before. No, we don't 1099 the Philippines. What I mean by 1099, now you can go through Upwork. If you want to pay people on Upwork will take care of all the paperwork. If you're paying the people yourself, like I have an accountant, I don't know what she does, but in some countries you have to file the 8Ben form when you're doing, we have reciprocations with other countries to where, we can either have that trade and not have to pay tax on their salaries, things like that. The Philippines and India are easy peasy. Trust me, these are the two countries you do want to work with because we have treaties with those countries. Every CPA on the planet now knows how to deal with that. So, but yeah, no, they're not technically 1099s because they're not going to pay any US tax, right? Now we have to report in a certain way so the IRS understands that, yes, this was for outsourcing, but it wasn't a US citizen, so therefore I don't have to pay payroll tax on it. But CPA does that. Couldn't give you any advice on that one. Upwork, freelancer, either one. I'm an Upwork person. That's my favorite place. And if you don't want to fool with the taxes or any of that stuff, just keep paying them on Upwork. Keep paying them on Upwork. Just pay them there. Something to keep in mind. So good questions. Damien, hey. So how to get unstuck? I covered that. The power of belief, covered that. Passive recurring, covered that. Money should be your goal, not freedom. I'm sorry, freedom, not money. And stop selling, start consulting. That's the only one I could get into a little deeper if people wanted to hear about it.
It looks like Joe's been trying to hop out and ask a question. I just wanted to interrupt because he seems to not want to interrupt you. So I'm interrupting so that he can hop out.
Thank you. And you know what? I came in late. It was about 4:30 when I checked in, and so I was trying to capture the what you were talking about. But you hit on so many different things that I just, my mind was just saying, yes, that's right. And the uncertainty of performing. Today, I just finished a photo shoot. I'm not a photographer by trade, but for one of my clients, they liked the photos that I took, so they hired me, and here I am, and I was afraid of they're hiring me for a photo shoot. I'm not a photographer, and how am I going to do this? Am I going to deliver what they're asking? And I came close to saying, you know what? I think it's going to be best if you do that. But nonetheless, I said I already committed, and I showed up, and it was a little shaky, and I had to photograph two soccer teams that are here in the LA, from Costa Rica and from El Salvador, for this one of my clients for a clinic. And let me tell you, it was scary. But as I got into it, I took the shots. I kind of, in my mind, fit the stage of what would I like to see. Put the knowledge that I had on what I had been doing before, and it started coming together. Before I knew it, I was engaging not only the individuals that are photographing, but also the client, and he liked what I did. And so I finished. I'm here at the hotel right now, listening to what you're saying. But yes, being afraid, and now I don't care if I under-deliver. You know what? I did it. It's behind me. If they like it, they'll hire me again. If they do not, they could hire, a professional photographer. But it's over. That, it's a sense of relief, is a sense of, for me, it's accomplishment that I did something that I had not necessarily done before, specifically for this. I always take pictures for the clients just in case. as a backup to, to profile for my images, for my website, for something else, but not specifically for this. So yes, and I think that really, bolstered some courage on my end to say, okay, from one of the past speakers, like yourself, that came and said, okay, take a look at the things that you do. So now I'm going to put professional photographer on my list of to do. Even, according to me, I'm a professional photographer now. They don't need to know that, how many photo shoots I've done overall. They just need to see the images that I select that are, engaging and that my client likes what I delivered. And now I'm going to ask them for a recommendation. So yes, I think just going out and doing it. And so I think all of us, me included, in the past have been wanting to do certain things, but because of our belief system, because of our partners, because of our different situations, haven't taken that risk. And the other thing that you talked about, hiring somebody else, I also build websites, and I'm seeing the amount of time that it takes me to do them, because part of it is I'm a perfectionist into a certain degree, and so I'm like, okay, only I can see the vision that I want. And I have been communicating with this person from India. I don't know how he got my name. I guess I bought a domain and he's following up on me. And then I said, okay, just give me a quote on how much, this is going to cost me. And he said, it'll be like $600. And I'm like, wait a minute, $600. I can charge 6 times that, but I don't know their work. So hearing you say, hire somebody else, encouraged me to take that leap of faith, to hire somebody to do that, and that will save me the time to do something else. So I think, what I can say is everybody take that leap of faith in doing something else that you do it differently. I'm doing something that I have never done before. On my own, I relied on somebody else to do other things, and I come in as support. And so now I realized that, okay, I got to take the lead on certain things. And slowly, and let me just tell you, Damien, thank you very much to all the people that you have brought up here, because I always pick up something from everyone, and always and they serve as a reminder. And you talked about a mentor. Oh my God, in my mind, I've been searching for a mentor, but for one reason or another, you don't connect. So to me, all the speakers that have been here, in one way or another, have been the mentors that tell me, get off your ass, go do something. Somebody said, hey, if you exercise in the morning, go exercise in the afternoon, change your habit, change your routine. Okay, I'm doing it. I may not want to because I'm so used to doing it, but by doing that, it's opening my mind from how it was before. And, it's hard to believe that it's going to be successful when you haven't had the success. And that, you're right, no one thing is going to change you. It's a series of different things. To me, I've been, part of this community going on over for about 7 to 8 months. And you're right, it is what's in here that has really been holding me back. So I am testimonial that, yes, I'm taking baby steps, and I'm hoping that it'll gain more momentum and I'll take bigger steps. And hearing you say that just recertifies with me that, okay, you're in the right direction. And so thank you, for that encouragement, and keep on encouraging us to do other things.
Yeah, that's awesome, Joe. Congrats on that. I mean, anytime you're out of your comfort zone, it's scary, and yes, we feel like we could fail. One thing I learned that I heard you kind of mention was we put ourselves on such a high level of what we want to attain. It never occurs to us that perfection is not what the customer wants. In fact, it's always funny when I talk to a customer and I say, okay, show me some websites you like, and they show them to me and I'm thinking, ooh, this is going to be easy. We think we have to nail it. We think we have to be perfect. We think we have to, have this major delivery, when in fact, We don't know what the customer's measure of success is. And if we're afraid, ask. Right? But congrats to you, because anytime you want to do something, just do it. The worst that can happen, and this is what I've always said, don't spend the money until you feel better about it, right? The worst that could happen is, they're not satisfied. You can try it again, or you could always refund their money. I've only refunded money twice in 10 years, right? And it was because I couldn't make the customer happy. Oh, well. What about the thousands I've made happy? So you just got to go for it, because a month turns into 3, turns into 6, turns into a year. 5 years later, you're looking back going, man, I wish I would have. When you think about your parents and you think about your grandparents, you think about all this stuff. They never said, man, I got everything done I wanted to do. I'm ready to go. Nobody says that. So good for you.
Yes.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, good
Thank
stuff.
you.
Joe.
Yeah, just always give yourself the out, right? Julie said, wow, refund, brilliant. Look, give yourself the out. Like, put the money in the bank and leave it there till a month after to see if they're happy, or, make sure you're feeling comfortable. I mean, that's the worst that can happen.
Nikki just did that very thing. She had someone that she didn't feel like it was going to be a good photo shoot that was coming here into Cabo and wanted to do, changing the deal and asking about, can we do this for 12 friends out on the beach? Can you get a dress for every one of them? When she quoted them the price, they're like, oh, that's too much. And like, so she's been trying to get away from it. No, but we still want you. We still want you. And finally she just said, look, here's 4 different photographers you can contact. And then, no, but we still want you. And like, it's almost 3 days. We don't have time to find somebody else. And she finally just, signed off. I said, be careful, because you don't want a negative review, but you don't have to take the customers you don't want to take. And if you feel the vibe is not right, all you're doing is buying yourself a headache.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, Damien, because the 2 people I refunded were that very thing. Very quickly in the relationship, I realized, yeah, this is not going to be fun for me. I don't want to do it. See ya. And so I refunded the money. And that's the beautiful thing about controlling your own business, being in your own business. You don't have to work with anybody you don't want to. It's your business. You have the right not to work with them. Now, I usually don't say that to them. I usually find a way to make them not want to work with me in a nice way.
You have the right to refuse service to anyone. Do you see the sign on the wall?
Just double your price, and odds are they're going to say no, right? Just inflate your price when you get the feeling like, you're talking to that guy and you just know he's not going to be a good fit. If you were going to pitch him 3, pitch him 8. All he could do then is say, man, you're really expensive.
Lisa, I did that once in my past. I added a 0 thinking there was just no way in hell. And
they took it.
Put me up on it. Yeah, I added a 0.
But here's the thing. At that point, do the work, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
hey, I want to make sure we do not miss. I have a lightning round. This is a surprise for you. It's a surprise attack, and everybody gets a great benefit. So I'm going to hit you with a couple, even though we do want to hear the sales consult / you're getting people in the chat saying, please hit that. But here's the first question for you. The best advice you've ever received.
The best advice I've probably ever received was from that couple. And that was to live your life now and don't wait. Like, figure out when you figure out, but live your life now. And because it kept coming back. 5 years in, when I was working 100 hours a week, that kept going through my head and was part of the catalyst that made me stop doing it.
Okay. Now, next, a book you would recommend and why?
I've already recommended one, so I'll skip that one.
Obviously for this particular group, right?
I'll skip that one. Probably I would then go with Your Money or Your Life. Don't remember the author. And the book talks about everything in your life you're trading your life for. So when you buy something that costs $1,000, if you don't know, like, it teaches you to figure out how much money you make an hour. And the book's really cool like that. Now, the way they intended the book was so you could live a more frugal life. Yeah, I didn't take it that way, apparently. And I just learned, oh, my time's worth more money, and it made me more successful. But it's still an amazing book because you have to figure out what your time's worth and what you're willing to trade it for. So it's called Your Money or Your Life, and it's an amazing book. So, but again, the way they wrote it was more like, you should be more frugal and save money, and that's not how I implement it.
All right, next one. App, tool, or resource that's not your own that you would recommend for digital agencies here on the call. That's just a great recommendation for a tool, app, resource, or hack, anything.
Ooh, this lightning round is tough. Gosh, I'm an SEO. So because I'm an SEO, the number one tool I use in my business is probably Ahrefs, and if I get too bright local. So I think the tool I recommend for you guys is obviously the one that's going to solve the biggest problem in your business, or make you the most money, or save you the most money, that kind of thing. So for me, it's very tech stuff, Ahrefs, hands down. It's a sale. I use it for sales. My team uses it for SEO. So it's such a multitask tool. So it's such a stupid answer. I'm sorry.
All good. All right. So now if you want to polish us up, with the sales versus consulting versus sales.
Yeah. John, it's Ahrefs, and it's an SEO tool to help you research your competition. It's a great segue, actually, because I use that tool in a sales capacity, and it's never, I don't think, ever been used like that. It's very unique. A couple years ago, I spoke at SEO Rockstars, and I demonstrated that sales technique of how I use it. But essentially, spelling is how it sounds, Steve. The letter A, and then Hrefs, Hrefs. The tool actually goes out and looks at agnostically what they think Google sees you, how they see you. And you can also go look at your competitors. So when I say unselling, when I say stop selling, before, when I was closing at 40, 50%, I would sit in an SEO call, right? And I would go over all this techno BS. And I would try to impress them with my knowledge and try to convince them that we were the smartest SEO company on the planet. They could give a crap about that. What they care about is, can you make me money? Can you get me more customers? Every time you think about what the customer wants, they want their problem solved. They don't care how you do it. They don't care one bit how you do it. Yeah, what's in it for them, right? So when you think of Ahrefs, here I had this tool, and it came on me one day. I was sitting there, and I kind of knew we overwhelmed them with information. But when I was looking at the patterns, and it basically says, hey, this customer looks like this, and this one looks like this, and the tool actually shows you in SEO what it would take to beat them, because if they have 80,000 backlinks and your customer has 2, and they have, and for you guys who don't know what this means, but if Google trusts them a whole bunch because they're domain authority, but they don't trust you because of your domain authority, meaning how important they think you are, then you gotta beat them to get there. And going through that process, I ended up having to explain it to one of my writers because I was trying to help her understand SEO so she would be a better SEO writer. And I thought, you know what, I should try to pitch like this. So I did. Went to my first call after I had that I took some screenshots from Ahrefs, I put them together, and I walked the customer down a path. I didn't try to sell them anything. I tried to, in 20 minutes, help them understand that, hey, you want to be on Google My Business right here on the front page, right? Because when you are, you're going to get 90% of the calls. That's where you want to be, right? Yep. Because you want more customers. I've done my work to get that out of them. Then I basically would take these pictures almost, and I wasn't trying to sell them, say, okay, so like, here's where you are today. And like, here's where you're, the 3 that are in the space you want to be, here's where they are. In order for you to knock them out of that space, we got to fix all this stuff to make you look like that. And I literally talked in those types of terms with them. I showed them the pictures. I didn't try to explain anything on the picture. I said, hey, this is how important you are to Google. And this is how important they are to Google. You got to be like that. And when you are, you can beat them. That's what we do. Now, to do that, Mr. Customer, and this is how I talk to him, we're going to do the same thing. We got a process. We know exactly what to do. What does it cost? What can you spend? And I've literally taken the onus off me to give them a price. I let them, and I'm kind of summarizing, our sales process for SEO is so down pat now. Our close ratio is about 80%. So 8 out of 10 we close. And it's because in the conversation, I've never asked for money. I've never given them a price. I've given them some indicators, but I let them tell me how aggressive they want to be. I let them give me a budget. I let them give me a price. I let them tell me, oh, okay, so if I do this, and they're doing it in the call, they're saying, so if I get a number like that, I'm going to beat them, right? Yeah. Nobody wants to be sold a damn thing. When you go in that store and you get that pushy salesperson, and you're like, dang, you don't want that person. And then you get that one person, man, I love buying from that guy, or man, I love that guy. Why did you love him? Because he probably was just no pressure, man. He was just probably like, hey, I'm just going to give you the information you need. Let you make an informed decision like a mature adult with your money that you should be in charge of spending. And when we get into a sales mechanism, I love Zig. I love, Brian Tracy. I love Les Brown. I love all the people you guys mentioned. But a lot of them are old school. And in old school, they felt they had to trick people. Or almost like psychologically bring them down a path. And that's old school. We have the internet now, and we're educated more on sales, and everybody's seen Zig Ziglar and they know his ways. So now it's just a matter of being a consultant. Hey man, what are you looking to do? I just can't get more customers. Okay, well, what do you mean by that? You can't get customers. Are you having trouble finding your market? Are you having trouble finding leads? What's happening? Notice I'm not going on my pitch. I'm asking them questions. Then they might say something like, well, yeah, no, we're not getting enough leads. When we get the leads, we sell them. Okay, so if you can get leads, man, you can close, right? Yep. All right, so what have you tried in the past? Just so I understand, so I know where we're at. I'm consulting. If you have a pitch deck, burn it, tear it up, throw it away. Do not use pitch decks. Don't do it. You're there to ask them a ton of questions. And remember what I said in the beginning, right? I do not sell SEO on the first call. I don't care if you're throwing your credit card at me. And I got to go back and I got to do my homework. I got to figure out the market. I got to look at your competition, figure out how competitive the space is, look at your keywords, and make sure people are searching for what you want. So in that, what does it look like on Friday? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm getting the follow-up call. I'm going to make sure I schedule that follow-up call. But when I go to that follow-up call, I've got my pictures from my Ahrefs. I've got my calculator, and I have this very special Excel calculator I use. And I show them what I'm talking about. They sell themselves because I've consulted with them. In the end, they're saying stuff like, yeah, you're right. I do. I need to fix my lead gen problem. 100%. Okay. So you need more leads. We know Google's where you get them. You know that. Now, if that's not how they get customers, right, then you got to be careful. People ask me, hey, what kind of customers you like? The kind of customers I like are the ones that people search for them on Google all the time. Those are the kind of customers I like. If they're most people find dentists through insurance. Probably the only SEO on the planet that doesn't love dentists because they don't find us on the internet. I can't, get them to find me on the internet. So same thing, their customers don't find them on the internet. Why would I want them as a client? How can I sell them a $3,000 a month SEO package if nobody searches for them online? I can't. Not a good customer. I'll never be able to show them the value. Now, if they say, oh, I'm seriously going for people who just pay cash, I'm doing dental implants and I'm doing Zoom all day long, I'll take that customer. People search for that on the internet, right? So that's what you got to think, like consultation. I'm talking to them. I'm asking them real questions and I'm digging deep. I'm not surface level. Like, well, what did you mean by that? Like, exactly. And don't tell them, like, never ask a question by framing it with an answer. Meaning, so is it leads you're having a problem with? Because I know, leads are a problem with everyone. You just answered it, right? Like, well, what do you mean by you don't have enough customers? Are you having trouble with getting leads? Are you having trouble with, when you get the leads? Like tell me. Like, notice I'm not finishing this sentence. Like tell me what you're having problems with, just so I know. You're talking them in a way to where they have to talk to you. You're not getting what you want on that call is they want more customers. They want more money. Why do they want that money? If you can get them down a path of talking, okay, so if we could get, like, what will that do for you? I mean, if we can help you get these customers, is that going to help you financially? Is it like a personal thing? If you can get them to start talking about why they want to solve the problem, you're going to have an easier time selling to them. Oh man, I'm so far in debt. If I don't make this work in 30 days, I'm screwed. That's not a good lead. That's somebody who's probably, you're not going to be able to help in 30 days, right? But you need to get that information, because then the solution might be different, right? If I got down to the real problem, like I can't pay my mortgage, and if I don't get leads in 30 days, if I pitched them an SEO solution that would take 9 months, won't matter. They're not going to buy that no matter how well my pitch goes. If I know they have a problem, oh man, they need AdWords. They need a solution now, because if they don't get it now, they're gonna fail. They're gonna close their business. That consultation, I'm finding out exactly what they need. Not just, do they need my service, but what do you really need? Because even if I don't do AdWords and I tell them, look, there's a time where I think I can help you. Now's not the time. I think you really need if you need results that quick, I think you really need to be, working in AdWords. I know somebody, I'll refer you to them, but when you're ready for this other stuff, I'm happy to do it for you. That's the right thing to do as well, by the way. So that's when I say 8 out of 10 times, the other 2, typically it's just not a good fit for us. So we're typically not going to try to change it anyway, right? So consult, get down to why. Same reason I'm telling you guys to ask why. Ask your customers why. At the end, when you say to them, okay, so what'd you think, right? How many of you guys like, okay, so what do you want to do about that? Are you ready to close? They always give you those, okay, it's time for the close. You want to get to the end of the conversation and they say these words to you, my favorite words to hear of all time. Awesome. What's the next step? That is permission right there. If you haven't given the price yet, give them the price. If you have given them the price, shut up and go get your agreement and say, okay, let's go. We can get started right away, right? Literally, that conversation should never end with you having to bring up any closing statement, because they're going to come to it naturally. That's what I mean by stop selling. That's the type of selling I do, and I try to impart on the people that I work with or I talk to. I want you to come up with whatever you're selling. For me, it's SEO. But whatever you're selling, you come up with a way to where they get it, they see the benefits, they trust you're the person who can do it, so they want to know what the risk is to get involved with you. That's it. So that's to me consultative selling, right? But care about it, like literally care about it. John White, did you purchase or make your own Excel calculator? I made my Excel calculator. It's highly complicated. It is part of a course that I sell, so it's not something I give away. But the reason being is because you need to be trained not only in the calculator, how to use it and what it means, because SEO is very complex, but you need the training on how to sell, because if you go with this calculator in front of someone and you don't do it right, you put more confusion in their head than you can ever think. And remember, a confused mind never buys.
Never.
Ever. Never. Right? You don't want 10 payment plans. You don't want, anything like that, right? So Michael, I think, is your hand raised?
Hi, how are you?
Good to see you.
Oh, yeah. I figured I'd join. If I'm going to ask a question, I got to show myself, huh?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, so this is, of course, as fate would have it, this is the portion of the call I've been looking forward to the most, and then I got a call and I had to run away, so I missed the beginning portion of this, but I think I caught most of it. Just first off, I just wanted to tell you, like, I've been enjoying this call so much. I get these invites every week, and I always just skip over them, and I said, this time, what the heck, let me check it out, see what it's all about, and I'm so glad I did. I should have known with Damien and the team that they're bringing on quality people, so I just wanted to let you know that I've been enjoying what you're sharing here, for sure. The other thing is I actually coach sales myself. And so, I'm a big proponent of sales conversations should be conversational. If anything about it seems like you're interviewing a person or it feels robotic or you're jumping to your pitch too quick, then you're doing it wrong, right? One of the things I preach is if you're the star of your call, then you're definitely doing it wrong because they should definitely be the star, right? Big fan of, prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. I see people all the time jumping into, this is what I can do for you, but you don't even know what they need. And so what you're selling them is what you want to sell to them because that's what's best for you, but you're missing the boat on what actually needs to take place on the call. The biggest thing I want to see people do on a sales call is put people in the best position to make the best decision for themselves. And if you ask the right questions, you'll be able to put them in the right frame of mind and have the right things at the top of mind in order to make that best decision. And so one of the things you said where you were talking about how you're never looking to sell SEO on the first call. What I'm curious about is, are you completely against the one call close, or are you okay with it if the right things need to happen all within that call where you're getting the right information, you're uncovering their why, which I say the why is the thing they want to buy. Nobody gets on a call with you wanting to buy SEO or Facebook ads or any other type of marketing. They want what that can deliver to them. And if they tell you that's money, then even that's wrong because it's what the money can buy. So when you find out the why, that's when you're selling the thing that's, truly at the heart of what they're looking for. And so one call close, I'm curious, is that something you're completely against or just only when it's done from the right way?
Yeah, I'm completely against it in the SEO space because SEO requires, in my opinion, for you to go do your homework. How can you tell somebody what their budget is or what it costs if you have no time to actually do your homework, right? If you haven't gone and done your homework, not only can you overcharge them, but you can undercharge. So the reason why I'm against the one call close on SEO is you're going to invariably leave money on the table in certain situations straight up. And the way we do the sale, the way we've, our kind of shtick, the way we do it, that second call, they have thought about it. We've gotten all our information, our ducks in a row. We have everything open. We're ready. That first call, you're not ready. You don't have time to go do all that stuff. And if you go try to do that, you're getting yourself out of your head and you're going to start stumbling. So I'm not against the one call close. We do it with logos. We do it with prints. We do it with many things. We do it with websites, but we try not to because the same thing. We have found that when we do it with the two call, we can make more money on the sale, plain up. Because we've done our homework. The customer feels like we went back and did more for them. We've invested in them. We've given them something, given our time. We've proven that, we can be trusted and that we're willing to do the work. So no, not against it. Just for me on the tech space, on those two products, for example, just have a method that I found not only closes better at a higher ratio, but for a higher amount. So, and to date, our biggest SEO customer is $50K a month. That's so far. Notice I say so far, right? Because I'm open now to that 100K customer. They're out there and they're coming. But on average, we'll take a 2K customer and using our method, they'll sometimes bump to 2,500 or 3,000 a month because of the method.
No, I love that. And that makes a ton of sense with that particular service offering. So thank you for that clarification. The other thing I'm wondering about, and I'm not going to fight you on the call, but you said you're completely anti-pitch deck. And so we actually teach people to use pitch decks so long as you're using them the right way. Because when you're giving people that visual component, it can absolutely help increase their understanding as long as you're not using it as a crutch. But I heard you say rip them up, throw them out. So I'm curious there. Is that just a case of most people use it?
I think what I'm against is the PowerPoint pitch deck. I have visuals in my second call. I have screens opened up, or I have things, but I want them to feel like it's a more natural occurrence and not something I 100% prepare. And a pitch deck, they think, oh, they show this to everybody. This is a canned presentation. So if you can do it in a way that it's not canned looking or canned feeling, 100%, you got to have visuals sometimes. So not against the visuals. I'm 100% against that. It's this way. And if you're going to use a pitch deck, what happens when they go off deck? You do have to be prepared that you got to throw the deck out the window, right? So one of the things we do, for example, I have something in the wings in case the internet would go down, but I want to bring up stuff live. Like if I go into Ahrefs and I'm showing them stuff, I want to bring it up live. When it comes up live, look, I didn't prepare for this. I'm just, we're just having a conversation. I didn't plan to sell you, and I didn't have this very contrived process. Even though I do, it doesn't feel like that, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm against more so than the pitch deck. Now, mind you, when you're a new, you better have some bullet points. You better, you definitely want to have things at your disposal. Take papers and tape them, sticky notes, whatever. You definitely want to be able to have, some structure and that kind of thing. You're probably like me. I've been doing this so long, I don't need anything. I could do a one pitch close, one call close. I could definitely do it. I just know I can leave money on the table when I do it that way. And I love when in our calculator and our process, we'll show it to them. We'll put in maybe 1,500. The customer will say, what does it look like when we do 2,000 a month? That's what I want. That's the close I want, right? I didn't say a word about upping your budget. They said, what does it look like if we spend 2,000 a month? Well, let me show you.
Nice.
I don't like the discomfort of sales. I've figured out how to make it just a pure, fun conversation. And then when they say no, which happens, people say no, I don't feel bad. Some people do honestly need to think about things. The biggest problem with a no is you see it as a no. They said, not at this time. They didn't say no. They said, not at this time. I have followed up with people to date. My longest follow-up, 3 years later, he bit and did his SEO. He bit and did his SEO package, right? 3 years. I just didn't forget him. At first it's once a month. Then when I wasn't getting a whole lot or I was getting a little, he goes in another file, right? And here's an interesting psychology. The folders I have and the way we talk in our company, they're not prospects, they're not leads, they're future customers.
Hey, there you go.
That's what the folders are named. That's how we think about it. And, yes, there are times when finally somebody says, hey, I'm good. We got our solution. Stop talking. That's the only time they get filed in a do not follow up. But I've only had to go 3 years so far. That's the longest I've had to go. But I do get many people that say, no, we found another solution. We went in a different direction. Okay, great. Thanks.
All right. Well, on that, we're going to wrap. Listen, I love your style, Lisa. I love your closing style, your sales style, and I love yours too, Michael. I want to learn more about your style as well. Lisa, I want you on next week. I want you to talk about it. I want you back on. So I want everybody here to watch their inbox. We're going to have her come back on, dive a little bit deeper next week. It won't be on the happy hour. It's going to be middle of the week. So just watch your inbox. I just want to say before I let everybody give you a proper sign off the Go Mobile way. Okay. Before we do that, I don't
know what that way is because I haven't been coming to these.
Yeah. Well, you're going to get it right now, but I got to tell you, Lisa, thank you so much. I knew what to expect in what you're doing, because what you've been doing has been amazing and how you've been scaling your agency and growing it. And just your style on how you do this. It's clear, you literally, you did everything the hard way enough that now you really figured out how to make it your way, how to make it the easy way, how to make it the way that suits the lifestyle and the business that you want to build, the passive type of business that you want to build. So definitely it's been very inspiring, I'm sure, for everybody on here. I learned some things too. It was awesome. So what we like to do is we like everybody to give you a proper sign off. But before you do that, you can say your final words, and then everybody, when she's done, unmute and give her a big Go Mobile sign off. Give her a big I love you. Give her a big hoorah. Give her a big anything that comes to mind. If you got guitars in the background, pianos, whatever, do what you want. All right, Lisa, to you to close us down, and then everybody will sign off.
Yeah, I think in closing, the one thing I will say is it's your life, right? Make it what you want and stop worrying about making anyone else happy except you. Because when you're happy, you have the means and the ability to make everyone else happy as well.
All right, everybody, give her a big Go Mobile sign off.
Good job.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you so much, Lisa.
Yeah,
Great
thanks,
content.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
guys.
Really
Lisa.
good. Thank you very much. Thanks, love you, Lisa. Good job.
Hi, Patty.
You're awesome.
Saw you.
Good job.
Yeah, Lisa, this has been awesome. Thank you so much. See, told you it was going to be engaging. I told you you were going to love it. So what we like to say now is Go Mobile.
Go home.
Go.
Go home, guys. Have a great weekend. Love you guys, and I'll see you next week. Stay tuned.
Thanks, guys.